In 2025, the world has become louder than ever. Every second, someone is shouting their opinion, chasing attention, posting for likes, and screaming for validation. Everyone wants to be seen. Everyone wants to be heard. But in this constant noise, something powerful is being forgotten: focus. Not just any focus, but the kind that comes from a deep, quiet place within. The kind that isn't shaken by trends, noise, or the opinions of the crowd. In this chaotic age, focus isn't just important, it's everything. Distraction has become the norm. Our minds are constantly pulled in 100 directions, bombarded with images, headlines, arguments, and empty promises. And somewhere in this madness, people have stopped listening to themselves. They've forgotten how to sit still, how to breathe without checking their phones, how to chase a goal without posting about it. But here's the truth. The person who can block out the noise, the one who can discipline their mind to stay locked in on a purpose, that person holds the key to extraordinary power. You weren't born to be distracted. You weren't designed to compete for attention with the masses. You were built for depth, for discipline, for silent evolution. There is a storm of confusion outside, but the real game is being played inside your mind, inside your discipline, inside your daily choices. And no one else is responsible for guarding your mind except you. That's why focusing on yourself is no longer a suggestion. It's a requirement for survival, for growth, and for greatness. Most people think success comes from doing more, saying more, showing more, but real success often begins by doing less of what doesn't matter. It starts when you stop trying to be everything for everyone, when you stop responding to every voice, when you silence the world around you so you can hear your own inner command clearly. Because without focus, your time gets wasted. Without focus, your energy gets scattered. Without focus, your potential dies quietly in the background, while your attention is stolen by things that never mattered in the first place. In this age of noise, the most dangerous person is the one who doesn't flinch, the one who doesn't react, the one who is quiet but consistent, disciplined but unseen. While the rest of the world plays the game of appearances, a focused person plays the game of legacy. They are not moved by opinions. They are not motivated by likes. They are driven by vision, purpose, growth. They are building something deep while everyone else is chasing something shallow. You have a choice to make. You can either drown in distraction like the majority, or you can rise in silence like the few. You can either waste your energy chasing things that fade, or you can protect your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. Every moment you spend focused, you are building. Every moment you spend distracted, you are delaying. And eventually, the gap between those who focus and those who don't will become impossible to ignore. This year, let others talk. Let others post. Let others chase noise. You focus. You rise. You become so locked in on your path that nothing outside of it even touches you. Focus doesn't require attention. It demands isolation. It doesn't need applause. It needs silence. Stay hidden. Stay grounded. Stay consistent. Because when it's time, your results will speak louder than any words ever could. And they will not be able to ignore the person who stayed silent while building something unstoppable. Everyone wants to be noticed, but few are actually working. That's the truth no one wants to admit. In today's world, it's easy to pretend you're making progress. It's easy to talk about your dreams, to post motivational quotes, to make people think you're building something big. But here's what separates the few who win from the many who just talk. Action done in silence. Not the kind of action that needs a spotlight, not the kind that begs for praise, but the kind that happens quietly, when no one's watching, when no one's clapping. That's the kind of work that builds real power. Most people are caught in a performance loop. They're not living for themselves, they're performing for the world. Everything they do is calculated for attention. Every move is made to be seen, to be validated. But this constant performance drains them. They lose themselves in trying to impress everyone else. They forget their own goals, their own purpose, their own voice. And while they chase recognition, the truly focused individuals are moving in silence, getting sharper, stronger, more dangerous every single day. There's a reason the loudest people often have the least to show. Noise is often a mask for insecurity. But silence is a sign of control, of maturity, of intention. When you don't need to announce your every move, you're already 10 steps ahead. While others are wasting time proving who they are, you are becoming who you're meant to be. This is the discipline most people lack. They want results, but they crave attention more. They say they're building, but their energy is consumed by validation. But real builders don't need to convince, they just create. So if you truly want to rise in 2025, stop trying to be seen. Start trying to be effective. Let your results do the talking. Let your growth be the response. Let your silence be the proof. While the world is shouting, stay working. While others are distracted, stay focused. Because in the end, it's not the one who talks the most who wins. It's the one who never stopped doing the work when no one else was watching. Silence has always been misunderstood. People often assume that silence means weakness, that quiet people are unsure or insecure. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Silence is not a lack of strength, it's a sign of strength. It means you're in control. It means you don't need to respond to everything. It means you are choosing what deserves your energy. In a world full of noise, silence becomes power. It means you've learned to sit with your thoughts. You've learned to listen to your own voice. You've mastered the discipline of restraint. And that kind of control isn't easy, but it's what builds greatness. Think about it. Lions don't roar every second. They move in silence, they observe, they wait. And when the time is right, they strike. That's the energy you need. You don't need to shout to prove your value. You don't need to speak just to fill silence. Every word, every action, every moment of your energy should be intentional. Because when you operate from silence, you operate from clarity. You're no longer chasing reactions. You're building something with direction. That's what gives you the edge in a noisy world. People who are always loud, always reacting, always trying to win arguments, they're not in control. They're emotional. They're distracted. But when you stay silent, you remain centered. You observe. You think. You calculate. And that is where real power lives. It's not about being passive. It's about being strategic. It's about knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Because when you speak from silence, your words carry more weight. When you act from silence, your moves leave a deeper impact. So don't be afraid of silence. Embrace it. Use it. Let it become your strength, not your weakness. Let it sharpen your focus. Let it teach you patience. Because while others are wasting their strength trying to be heard, you'll be building the kind of strength that doesn't need to make noise to be recognized. You'll become the kind of person who doesn't need attention to prove their worth. You'll be the one who lets silence do the heavy lifting. Building in silence is one of the most powerful disciplines you can ever develop. In a world that craves constant updates, loud declarations, and fast results, the act of quietly building yourself becomes a rare and dangerous strength. Most people want to show their progress every step of the way. They want to announce their plans, share their moves, and hear praise before the work is even complete. But here's the truth. The more you talk about your goals, the less energy you have left to actually reach them. Talking drains action. Silence protects it. When you build in silence, you are not waiting for motivation. You are creating it. You are not relying on the approval of others to keep moving forward. You are powered by discipline, not by applause. Every day you commit to your vision without broadcasting it to the world, you grow stronger. Every step you take in private adds weight to your future results. Because what's built in silence holds a different kind of value. It's deeper, it's stronger, and it's more real. No one can take it from you because no one gave it to you. You earned it in the dark. Think about the seed that grows underground. No one sees it, no one applauds it, but it keeps growing, quietly, patiently, without recognition. And when it finally breaks through the surface, it's not just a moment, it's the result of consistent hidden growth. That's exactly how your goals work. If you plant them with intention and water them daily through discipline and silence, they will eventually rise, not because you forced the world to look, but because you became undeniable. So stop feeling the need to explain yourself. You don't owe anyone an update. You don't need to announce your grind. Let them wonder. Let them doubt. Let them assume nothing's happening. Because while they're guessing, you're growing. And when your moment arrives, when your silence turns into results, the same people who overlooked you will be the ones studying you, not because you told them to, but because your growth will be too loud to ignore. There comes a point in your journey where you must stop explaining yourself. You must stop justifying your choices, your boundaries, your silence. People will misunderstand you. That's inevitable. They will question your decisions, criticize your focus, and doubt your path. But none of that matters, because the truth is you don't need to be understood to be successful. You need to be disciplined. The more time you spend explaining your actions, the less time you spend executing them. And in this world, execution wins every time. Let others talk. Let others assume. You don't need their permission to grow. Most people explain themselves because they're still unsure. Deep down, they want acceptance. They want someone to say you're doing the right thing. But the strongest people don't wait for that kind of reassurance. They've learned that inner peace comes when you stop needing everyone to agree with your choices. You start walking your path without turning back to check who's clapping. Because once you decide to grow, not everyone will grow with you. Once you raise your standards, not everyone will meet them. And that's okay. You weren't born to be understood. You were born to be fulfilled. Silence is not just about staying quiet. It's about staying true. It's about standing firm in who you are without bending to pressure or opinion. When you stop explaining yourself, you take back your power. You stop handing it over to people who haven't earned the right to shape your life. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, your plans, or your vision. Protect your mission by protecting your voice. Speak when it matters. Speak with action. Speak with results. So the next time you're tempted to defend your silence or explain your choices, don't. Let your work speak. Let your growth explain everything. Let your peace confuse them, because nothing is more powerful than someone who doesn't need to argue, prove, or explain, someone who just is. That's how you rise, not by convincing the world, but by committing to yourself. When you stop explaining, you start evolving. And that's when everything changes. Solitude is not something to run from. It's something to run toward. In a world where constant connection is glorified, being alone has become uncomfortable for many. But if you truly want to transform, you must learn to be alone without feeling lonely. You must learn to sit in silence and hear your own thoughts clearly. Because in solitude, you don't just find peace, you find power. This is where your real growth begins, not in front of an audience, not surrounded by noise, but in the quiet moments where no one is watching and only your discipline speaks. Time alone forces you to confront yourself. It reveals your habits, your mindset, your weaknesses. It shows you who you are when the world isn't looking. And that truth is priceless, because once you know yourself, no one can shake you. Once you've been through the fire of isolation and kept going, external pressure loses its grip. You become mentally bulletproof. Most people avoid solitude because they haven't built a relationship with themselves. But when you start seeing time alone as your training ground, your sanctuary, your sharpening tool, you stop fearing it. You start craving it. The most powerful transformations don't happen in public. They happen in silence, in solitude, when it's just you and your commitment to rise. That's when your mind sharpens. That's when your vision becomes clear. That's when your energy stops leaking into meaningless distractions and starts fueling something extraordinary. Solitude teaches you how to stay centered in chaos, how to create peace in pressure, and how to lead yourself when there's no one to follow. So embrace solitude. Make it your secret weapon. Let it shape you while others are distracted. Let it teach you things the crowd never will. Because when you return from silence, when you walk back into the world with a mind forged in stillness, you don't just move differently, you become different. Stronger, smarter, sharper. That's the kind of energy that doesn't chase anything. It attracts everything. Solitude doesn't weaken you. It multiplies your strength in ways the world will never understand until it's too late for them to catch up. Let your discipline speak louder than your voice. In a world where everyone is busy talking about what they're going to do, the quiet ones who actually do it are the ones who rise. Discipline is not about hype. It's not about motivation or mood. It's about commitment. It's about doing what you said you would do, long after the feeling is gone. That kind of consistency doesn't need a spotlight. It doesn't need an announcement. It builds in silence, and when the results come, they speak with a volume no words could ever match. Too many people rely on inspiration. They wait for the perfect mood, the right moment, the extra push. But discipline doesn't wait. Discipline shows up. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't ask for applause. It doesn't check who's watching. It just works, day after day, quietly shaping your future. If you want to become unstoppable, build a life where your habits make noise, not your mouth, where your routine becomes your identity, where you don't have to tell anyone who you are. They see it in your actions. Think about the people who truly stand out. Not the ones with the loudest opinions, but the ones whose results are undeniable. They didn't get there by shouting, they got there by showing up. Every single day. When it was boring, when it was hard, when no one believed in them. That's the edge discipline gives you. It turns you into a force. While others are distracted by approval, you're too busy putting in the reps that will change everything. So forget the need to speak. Let your work do the talking. Build a rhythm so strong, a system so consistent, that people feel your presence before you even say a word. Because the truth is, real power doesn't speak, it performs. And when you live with discipline, your entire life becomes the proof. Let the world talk. You keep working. Let them guess your next move. You stay focused on your next step, because in the end, discipline doesn't just get you results, it makes you untouchable. Detach from the noise and reconnect with your vision. Every day, there's something trying to pull your attention away. Opinions, trends, negativity, drama. It's endless. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your entire life reacting instead of creating. You'll forget what you were even aiming for because your energy got scattered chasing meaningless distractions. That's why you need to protect your vision like it's sacred, because it is. Your vision is the blueprint of your future, and it cannot survive if you're constantly feeding your mind with noise. Noise doesn't always come from the outside. Sometimes it's internal, doubt, fear, insecurity, the voice in your head that tells you it's not working, that you're not enough, that you should give up. And the only way to silence that voice is to get anchored in purpose. Vision silences noise. When you have a clear picture of where you're going, nothing can distract you for long. You might stumble, you might pause, but you won't stop, because your direction is stronger than your distractions. To stay focused, you must be intentional about what you consume and who you listen to. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Not every opinion deserves a response. Most people are loud because they have nothing solid behind them. They rely on noise to feel important. But your power grows when you stop feeding the noise and start feeding your vision. Through learning, through strategy, through quiet execution. That's how you rise. So every time you feel tempted to engage with distractions, remember your mission. Every time someone tries to provoke a reaction, remember your outcome. You're not here to react, you're here to build. And builders can't afford to get lost in noise. Your mind is a battlefield. Win that battle, and the world becomes silent in comparison. Stay locked in, stay aligned. Because your vision is bigger than their opinions, stronger than their doubts, and louder than any noise they throw at you. Let them underestimate you. Let them think you're not capable. Let them believe you're not serious. Because their doubt is not your burden, it's your advantage. When people count you out, they stop watching you. They stop preparing for you. They leave gaps wide open because they assume you'll never fill them. That's your moment. That's your opportunity to rise in silence and build something they'll never see coming. Being underestimated is not an insult, it's a hidden blessing. It gives you the freedom to grow without pressure, to evolve without resistance, and to move without noise. Most people are obsessed with being seen. They want credit, they want recognition, they want their success to be acknowledged every step of the way. But when you're always trying to prove yourself, you get trapped in a cycle of validation. And in that cycle, you forget to become what you're trying to prove. Let them ignore you. Let them sleep on you. That's your time to dig deep, to do the internal work that needs no audience, because when you're underestimated, the world lowers its guard, and that's when you become dangerous. Use every doubt as fuel. Use every dismissal as drive. Not to respond with words, but with results. Not to seek revenge, but to build something so real, so powerful that silence becomes your statement. There's something special about rising quietly. It creates a moment no one can prepare for, a moment when everything they thought about you is shattered by what you've become. That moment is coming if you stay silent, stay working, and stay grounded in your purpose. So if they mock your silence, let them. If they misunderstand your focus, let them. If they think you're not a threat, let them. Because one day, without warning, the version of you they never saw coming will walk past every single expectation they had. And they won't know whether to admire you or regret underestimating you. Either way, they'll never forget what you built in silence. Protect your energy like it's treasure, because it is. Everything in your life flows from the quality of your energy, your thoughts, your focus, your decisions, your discipline. It all depends on where your energy goes. And the hard truth is that most people give their energy away too easily. They waste it on arguments that don't matter, people who drain them, and thoughts that take them nowhere. If you want to build something meaningful in 2025, you have to start treating your energy like a limited resource, because it is. Once it's gone for the day, it's not coming back. You don't need to respond to everything. You don't need to explain every boundary. You don't need to be available for everyone. The moment you realize that your energy is your responsibility, everything changes. You stop chasing things that don't align with your purpose. You stop giving time to people who don't value your presence. You stop reacting, and you start choosing. That's the difference between someone who's drained and someone who's dangerous. One is reactive, the other is strategic. Emotional discipline is a powerful weapon. When you stop letting your emotions control your actions, you become unstoppable. You don't lash out. You don't get pulled into drama. You don't waste time on proving your worth to people who don't matter. Instead, you conserve your energy for what truly matters, your goals, your growth, your vision. And when your energy is focused, your life begins to shift. Your results become sharper. Your mind becomes clearer. Your steps become faster. So protect your energy like your future depends on it, because it does. Guard it from distractions. Guard it from emotional traps. Guard it from anything that doesn't add value to your mission. Because the strongest version of you will not be the one that argues the best or speaks the loudest. It'll be the one who moves with intention, protects their peace, and focuses only on what fuels their rise. That's how you separate yourself, not by force, but by discipline. Outgrow conversations that don't grow you. The moment you decide to evolve, everything around you begins to change, especially your conversations. You start noticing how much time is wasted on gossip, small talk, and negativity. You begin to feel drained by surface-level interactions that lead nowhere. That's not arrogance, it's awareness. It's a sign that your mind is shifting to a higher level. Growth demands a new environment. And that begins with your words, your thoughts, and the company you keep. You cannot keep discussing the same problems with the same people and expect a different outcome. It's not just about avoiding toxic conversations. It's about choosing elevating ones. Conversations that challenge your thinking, expand your perspective, and strengthen your purpose. These are rare, and that's why they're valuable. The people you surround yourself with are either sharpening you or softening you. They're either pushing you forward or pulling you back. When you choose to grow, you must become intentional about where your mental energy flows. Because you're not just having conversations, you're building your mindset with every word you hear and speak. You don't have to announce your growth. Just stop showing up where your values don't fit. You don't have to argue with those who don't understand your silence, your boundaries, or your vision. Just keep walking. Your elevation doesn't need approval. And the higher you rise, the quieter it gets. Fewer people, deeper thoughts, richer energy. Let that be your new standard. You're not being rude by walking away from meaningless talk. You're being responsible with your time and your growth. So the next time you're in a room where the conversation drains you more than it feeds you, don't force yourself to stay. Don't shrink your mindset to fit in. Rise, shift, move toward people and conversations that inspire action, self-awareness, and resilience. Because when you protect the quality of your dialogue, you protect the direction of your life. Speak less, but when you do, speak with purpose. Listen deeply, but only to what aligns with your vision. That's how you evolve. Through silence, intention, and the courage to walk away from anything that keeps you small, focus and silence, when combined, create something unstoppable. Alone, they are powerful. Together, they become a force that reshapes your identity, your direction, your destiny. When you focus, you eliminate distractions. When you stay silent, you protect your energy. But when you do both, you create a version of yourself that becomes impossible to shake. This is the mindset that builds legacies, the mindset that doesn't chase attention or validation, but chases mastery, quietly, consistently, relentlessly. In 2025, the noise will only get louder. The pressure to speak, to share, to perform, it's all around you. But that's exactly why your silence will separate you. Your focus will elevate you. While others spend their time proving, you'll spend yours preparing. While they race to be seen, you'll grind to become solid. And when the noise fades, when the dust settles, the one who focused and stayed silent will be the one standing tall, not because they shouted the loudest, but because they never stopped building. You don't need to announce your goals. You don't need to argue your value. You don't need to beg anyone to believe in your dream. Just lock in. Focus. Keep your circle tight. Keep your plan sacred. Your future doesn't need an audience. It needs your full attention. Every step you take in silence adds pressure to your breakthrough. Every time you resist the urge to react, you strengthen your control. Every day you stay committed without praise, you separate yourself from the crowd. So take this with you. Let silence be your armor and focus be your weapon. Don't get distracted by noise. Get addicted to progress. Don't react to everything. Respond only to what matters. Don't try to prove yourself. Become undeniable. The world doesn't need another loud voice. It needs disciplined minds, focused hearts, and silent warriors. And if you become that in 2025, nothing can stop you. Not opinions, not setbacks, not even failure. Because silence and focus will carry you where noise and ego never could. Stay silent, stay focused,